so bad that large sections of the community are forced to try and rationalize this nonsense so as to make sense out of it, which still results in conclusions that automatically hurt the story. Like I listed off
I
earlier.
just remembered when he. Oh, you were gonna say something?
Wait, Gavin, you gonna say something?
No, that was me who was trying to start a conversation. Let me think. Let's see. His when he gets a new sword and whip them out, he directly says something unique about them. Like in what is it? I forget the arc, but he definitely says something about the swords in the middle of those fights. We even see an example of his swords playing a role in his swordsmanship. I forget which episode, but it was something when he tried to do his pound phoenix, and he said something about the energy waves or whatever it's called coalescing into one bigger attack because of the sword. So his sword does have a relevant part in swordsmanship. And I forgot the other point I was trying to pull up. Let me restart that.
Swordsmanship is so bad that large sections of the community are forced to try and rationalize this nonsense so as to make sense out of it, which still results in conclusions that automatically hurt the story. Like I listed off earlier, there are numerous strong characters that stand at the top of.
Yeah, sorry.
It sounds like I've never heard any discussions that go this crazy about swords as much as he's going on about it in this video.
Doesn't a person who uses a sword versus another person that uses a sword, and one of those people loses, automatically tells that they're the better swordsman?
Well, at least the better fighter, because I don't know. You're still in. How far are you in Wano?
Let's just say like 6 chapters into Wano.
Okay, well, let's see. I can't. I guess I won't name characters at least, but when fighting, one of them claims like, "Yeah, you're right. You never claimed to be a swordsman. You just got a sword."
All right.
Just because you got a
Oh
sword
yeah,
doesn't make
and
you a
the
sword.
scene was Luffy trying to use his sword, but using it like a blunt weapon or something.
I think you just mean punching still while holding a sword.
Yeah. I feel like it is how you use the blade, not how rare or good it is. It goes both ways, but how you use it definitely counts. It's like a 80-20, 80-20 quality. I mean, skillsman, 80 for skill, 20 for quality.
Of the world who use swords and weapons, some of which you could argue are stronger than Mihawk, given how Oda has and has not handled his portrayal. And if there are characters that are as strong or around Mihawk's level who wield swords, how is he the world's strongest sword?
Well,
What?
I mean, if everyone else regards him still as the greatest swordsman, and they pull out some whack stuff like blowing up an entire island eating fish.
He uses a sword and is the strongest person who does use a sword, then he is the strongest swordsman. That's it.
Is he trying to say just because? Is he trying to say because Big Mom uses a sword, she should be the world's strongest swordsman?
Now he's trying to say that Big Mom blew an entire hole inside that tree, and we've never seen Mihawk blow an entire tree in half. So you put two and
Big
two
Mom.
together. Big Mom has
No,
to
we
be.
saw him cut an entire iceberg.
You right.
swordsman? And does he not care about these other combatants? And they
No.
him? In the land of
not
samurai,
him.
there isn't even
He doesn't. He literally says he's waiting for Zoro to beat him. So no.
He's pretty much just wandering about. If someone challenges him, I'm sure he'll fight them, and depending on the skill level, use the blade appropriate, like he did with Zoro. But other than that, he's just minding his own business.
He's just chilling out. You even saw him chilling. Man, he really wants like an entire separate storyline with Zoro fighting other swordsmen. Ugh, you're putting too much in this swordsmanship dealio. It's not that complex.
a plot line about how Mihawk traveled there, which doesn't make any sense because if you are someone like Mihawk, who is supposed to care about swords and testing your strength, you would find a way to get to Wano and you would be incorporated into the lore of the arc. Not only is there nothing in Wano for Mihawk as far as the plotline goes,
But does Wano even is one of Wano's themes the quality of swordsmanship? Question mark.
Not to mention that Wano is an enclosed country. Like, unless Mihawk knows like the route to get in the country, I don't see the point of him going there.
Not to mention he wants to go there, which I'm pretty sure he doesn't.
Oh yeah, did he just implant that Mihawk wants to go there?
He didn't imply that.
Oh,
He didn't imply that Mihawk wants to go there. He just said that he kind of should, considering all the swordsmanship details in the story, which I guess there's a lot of swords in Wano. He just really wants more Mihawk in Wano.
there's not even an after-the-fact mention. None of the strong characters in the story are people who are crafted into the hierarchy of swordsmanship. And what determines if you are a swordsman in One Piece is a debate that has made fans create abstract concepts like pure swordsman and non-pure
You?
swordsman,
Who?
with a pure swordsman being
Could you like?
Dritz, like you,
Okay.
good sir?
Yeah. Here's a point he's pulling up. Whatever. Follow Bushido's code. I guess you can put that as a pure swordsmanship thing. I guess.
It's just to fill out his
someone-
headcanon of like, oh hey, Zoro's moving up the ladder because he's facing pure swordsman.
No, I think maybe, but he said something about pure swordsmanship between like half swordsman.
I think he's trying to say that that like people or it's undefined what a swordsman is. So how can Zoro or Mihawk be the strongest if like there are just people who use swords or there are people who specialize in swords or this and that when it doesn't really matter at all.
If you use a sword and you practice the sword, that makes you a swordsman. And then we got. Wait, does any other character even follow this list of pure swordsmen?
Aside from the Wano samurai, no.
Because, they're samurai.
Yeah.
Bushido's code kind of limits the amount of people that can list as a pure swordsman.
I'm trying to think, like, because last I checked, I don't think Mihawk is a meathead for swords.
What does that even mean?
I
He
think
really
they're just
wants-
like a sword enthusiast. Like, hey, like with Zoro, how he took interest in that other cursed blade that Luffy had, or like Tashigi going like, oh hey, that's the blah 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 blade. Those are the only
Bushido-
two technical meatheads I can think of. Everyone
Someone who
else
fought-
doesn't really.
What about someone who follows the Bushido code but it isn't a Meathead, or someone who is a Meathead but doesn't follow the Bushido code?
Does Tashigi follow the Bushido code?
Probably not, since it was invented by the samurai of Wano.
I mean, you could technically follow a similar code to it, and not be aware of it. Like how some people conflate chivalry and Bushido.
Yeah, that's true. Whatever. Let's see what else he says.
Debate that has made fans create abstract concepts like pure swordsman and non-pure swordsman, with a pure swordsman being someone who follows the Bushido code, and a non-swordsman being people who use swords and can do so at an extremely high level, but they aren't limited to swords because they can do other things. And people use it to say,
Sorry.
Let's read this. Non-pure swordsman. Don't follow this. Strongest attack doesn't always include swords. Can be stronger or just as good at using swords as pure swordsman.
Irrelevant.
Stupid.
Yeah, it's like
It's not like
he's inventing these rules in his head and is now arguing why aren't these characters following these rules.
It's not like being a swordsman mean you can only be good with a sword.
Yeah, look, Zoro got said no sword style.
Yeah. It's just one technique. It's just one no sword style technique. No need to big up that.
Yeah, another one in the movie, in Film Gold.
Really? I must have forgot.
Yeah.
Technically, you also forgot his no sword style sword catching technique that has never worked yet.
It's the legendary Thundercross split attack, but in One Piece. It's just an interesting parallel that I hate that I brought up.
well, they're not an actual swordsman. That's stupid because that's not how swordsmanship works. Oda himself even adds on to this conundrum.
Well, to him, apparently.
I mean, if he kept the categories of pure swordsman and not pure swordsman, it would just be, hey, this person only uses a sword. This person has a sword and other things.
I'd honestly just go with that simpler of terms than than the list he provided.
With interview answers, and most recently, the dialogue exchange between King and Zoro. But this is Oda's world, and if Oda is going to define swordsmanship in his series, where the only real swordsmen, the people that matter, are people like Zoro, Mihawk, Ryuma, maybe Odin if you count him, and then a few people from Wano, then to supplement all of the other characters in the story...
It's because they call themselves swordsmen. Is that what you're saying?
Are we forgetting He really likes to forget Flower Vista.
Is it because he forgot every other character that uses a sword in the entirety of One Piece, or is it because the people in Wano call themselves swordsmen? Either way, no.
Oda needed to create something to put Zoro in a system that works for his dream, and he's failed to do that, which makes swordsmanship as a concept broken and redundant. Zoro wanted his name to reach the heavens.
This video's terrible.
No.
I know we already knew that. I knew we already knew that, but like, come on.
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
Heavens. But how is that possible with the way that One Piece is constructed? The story is so Luffy-centric that there isn't any room for Zoro's dream to breathe. Luffy
Bullshit.
always has to get the credit.
Pausing.
Zoro's dream is possible because Mihawk is number one. Take him down, you're the new number one. Simple as that.
We're saying.
I don't know why
We're saying the same thing here.
Yeah,
At this point, we're repeating ourselves.
There's a simple route he can take, however, the difficulty, while simple, is also very difficult. For some reason, this man needs, we could take the simple right, but for some reason, he needs to take 20 left before he's satisfied.